Salsburgh. Coal mining. Duntiland. Duntiland Colliery began production in 1896 with a workforce of just under 200. Their main production was specializing in coal types of slash in manufacturing, anthracite and steam. It closed in 1951 and was owned and operated by Coltness Iron Company. Limited. Fortisat. Fortisat Colliery began production in 1870 with a workforce of just under 300. Their main production was specializing in coal types of slash and house and steam. It closed in 1949 and was owned and operated by Shott's Iron Company. Limited. Airdrie. Airdrie Colliery began production in 1926 with a workforce of just under 300. Their main production was specializing in coal types of slash and anthracite. It closed in 1963 and was owned and operated by Airdrie Coal Company. Limited. Deucehill. Deucehill Colliery began production in 1896. The population of their workforce is not known. Their main production was specializing in coal types of slash and anthracite. It closed in 1943 after being redeveloped in 1923 and was owned and operated by Coltness Iron Company. Limited. The pumping shaft eventually sunk in 1957. Hurstrigg Colliery began production sometime around after 1880 with a workforce of between 200 and 300. It is not known what coal type they specialized in. It was originally owned and operated by Hearst Coal Company. Limited. Glasgow then latterly became under the ownership of Garscube Coal Company. Limited. Edinburgh. It closed sometime around the 1940s. Facilities. Kirk o' Shott's Shottskirk Public/Primary School. Kirk o' Shott's is the name of the local school which opened initially in 1700 in a rented building in the southern edge of the old Shottskirk churchyard. However, it was decided that a new school would be built opposite the church on what is now Newhill Cant Hill Road. It officially opened in 1799. Due to an increase in school roll, the original school was deemed no longer viable. A new school was built to the east end of the village and was opened in August 1912 as Shottskirk Public School, which later reverted to its original roots as Kirk o' Shott's in 1958. Kirk o' Shott's Public School still thrives today as a busy public primary school serving the local community of Salsburgh and surrounding hamlets, and proudly celebrated its centenary on 12 August 2012. Kirk o' Shott's remains a public school open to all Denominations. Kirk o' Shott's Shottskirk Parish Church. Kirk o' Shott's Parish Church is the name of the local church which serves the parish of Salsburgh, Shotts and surrounding area. The church was formerly a Catholic place of worship under the name St. Catherine's, taken from Catherine of Siena. About 550 years ago Bothwell and Shotts formed one parish which stretched from the Clyde to Linlithgowshire and from the north to the south Calder. In this large area there were 4 places of worship, one of which was situated in the middle Bothwellmere at a desert place called Bertram Shotts. Bertram was reputed to be a giant who lived in the area and terrorized travellers on the Glasgow/Edinburgh road. A reward was offered for his capture dead or alive and was claimed by William Muirhead, who lay in wait for Bertram when the latter came to his favourite drinking place, a spring of water on the hillside above Shottsburn. He hamstrung him and, as the giant lay laughing up at him, he cut off his head with the words, "Will you laugh up yet?" It was on Bertram's plot of land that St. Catherine's Chapel was built in 1450. It was dedicated to the Blessed Virgin and Catherine of Siena. After the Reformation of 1560, Kirk o' Shott's, otherwise known as Shottskirk, or the affectionately titled Mate Church, became a Protestant place of worship. The old church of St. Catherine's must have suffered many changes and required frequent changes since its foundation, but of these there is no account before 1640. In that year the presbytery met at Shott and ordered that the church be repaired and partly rebuilt, but it was more than 8 years before the work was completed. The site of the old church is marked by the headstone erected to Samuel Murrows, who was session clerk and schoolmaster from 1794 to 1837. He was also precentor, and it was his wish to be buried where his old desk had stood, thus he lies still at his post. On the back of the stone is the following inscription: "Here stood the precentor's desk in the Kirk of Bertram Shotts, which was rebuilt and extended in 1642. This stone and the burial ground of the Ingleses of Murdoston, which was inside the old church, give a clear idea of the site. Shottskirk Cemetery is reported to be haunted by a mysterious grey figure who vanished to and from the mist when a driver reported having hit a grey figure on the B7066 road which runs adjacent to the farm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Man. St. Catherine's Well/Kate's Well. St. Catherine's Well or Kate's Well is a natural holy spring well on holy ground at the foot of Kirk O'Shott's parish church, otherwise known as Shottskirk, in the village of Salsburgh, North Lanarkshire. The well dates back to the 14th century and derives from the church's former past when it was a Catholic place of worship as St. Catherine's Chapel, which has origins from Catherine of Siena. Kate's Well was also the scene of the local legendary giant Bertram de Shott's demise, where his head was decapitated as he drank from the well. Skate Park. In November 2019, it was announced that through successful campaigning thanks to the local community council, funding would be released for a new skate park. This will be located top end of the King George V Park off Bogfoot Road and Reed Street. Work commenced on the skate park in October 2021 and completed in early 2022. Minor statue. In November 2019, it was also announced along with the new skate park would be a new minor statue to commemorate the village's rich mining history. The statue location is being narrowed down to one of two locations, the first being the Jubilee Garden next to the community center, or the second being next to one of the village welcome gateways where it would be seen more prominently. The transmitters. Salsburgh is the locale of the twin Blackhill transmitters due to its high position towering above the Mate motorway opposite the church. They can be seen as far as Bathgate, West Lothian to the east and Glasgow to the west. The transmitters are quite a prominent feature after dark for miles around, due to the colored red lights which prevent aircraft from striking the towers. The Kirk O'Shott's transmitting station is also nearby, which formerly carried a TV service and today carries DAB radio. Prefabricated buildings. Salsburgh was one of the first places in Scotland to have a prefabricated building with corrugated steel walls built. The first ever prefab was built in the village in 1945. Schools and nurseries. Kirk O'Shott's primary school public, non-denominational. Rowantree Nursery / Kirk O'Shott's Nursery. Places of worship. Kirk O'Shott's Parish Church Protestant, Sacred Heart R.C. Chapel Catholic, Salsburgh Gospel Hall Christian. Geography. Climate. Salsburgh has an oceanic climate Köppen CFB. Homes. Landmarks. Kirk O'Shott's Parish Church, the Mate Church. Blackhill transmitters. Other landmarks include the footbridge which crosses the B7066 main road, which was struck by a careless crane driver in 2009. It was rebuilt and reopened in 2014. Population. The 2001 census recorded a population of 1310. It is now estimated as of 2018 that the village currently is populated by 1370 residents. Nearby towns and villages. Airdrie, Allanton, Fellshill, Deucehill, Forestfield, Harthill, Hartwood, Holytown, Mawsond, Motherwell, Newhouse, Newmeans, Shotts, Shottsburn, Wishaw. Government and local groups. Updated May 2022. The candidates elected to serve in Ward 13 Fortisat May 2022 are Margaret Hughes, Scottish National Party SNP, John Jolecki, British Unionists for a Better Britain, Martin McCulloch, Scottish Labour Party, Kenneth Stevenson, Scottish Labour Party, Further statistical information. North Lanarkshire Council Local Elections 2022 Ward 13 Fortisat. Local Provost Jean Jones, Deputy Provost. Tom Castles MP, MP. Adam Kaser Javed SNP Constituency MSP. Neil Gray SNP Central Scotland MSP. Megan Galasher, Mark Griffin, Stephen Kerr, Monica Lennon, Richard Leonard, Gillian Mackay, A.M. Mackay, Graham Simpson. Local groups. There are several local groups in the village which have been set up to provide a service to the community. Community Council provide information pertaining to planning, local interests surrounding the village, and further awareness of events in the village. Notable natives. Bertram de Shotts is known locally as a legendary giant who roamed the village of Shotts and outlying village of Salsburgh, Scotland in the 15th century. Shotts was a drear moorland place on the Great Road of the Shire, which was an important route for tradesmen carrying their wares around Scotland. Bertram de Shotts habitually savaged packmen and peddlers for treasure carried along the Great Road, and King James Roman IV of Scotland ordered his death. De Shotts was probably in fact only 6 or 7 feet high, yet his presence merited giant status. Jamie Dolan, born 22 February 1969 in Salsburgh, 31 August 2008, was a Scottish professional footballer who played for Motherwell, Dundee United, Dunfermline Athletic, Livingston, Forfar Athletic and Partick Thistle. Nat Muir, born 12 March 1958, is a Scottish retired long-distance runner. He competed at the IOF World Cross Country Championships on 10 occasions in the 1970s and 80s. Derek Whiteford, born 13 May 1947 in Salsburgh, was a Scottish football player and manager. Liam Downey, born 22 January 1998, is an up-and-coming Scottish author, writer, filmmaker, and young entrepreneur, with some of his works being adapted to hardback, book, and comic formats. He has since launched an offshoot of his Solar Dark Films brand to comics under the Solar Dark Comics franchise. Michelle Nangle, known professionally as Shelley Mack, is a children's book author derived of stories created for her daughters and include a host of different characters with adventures designed to appeal to her young audiences, including a hedgehog, corn snake, and 2 mischievous sisters in honor of daughters Olivia and Grace. Media. STV have reported several times from the village, most notably in relation to extreme weather conditions such as snow. This is due to the village's elevated position and tends to get very bad weather. Salsburgh also has an MET office weather observation station, lat. 55.8 thousand. The village is also known for being the main shooting location for indie horror film The Rain Man, which was directed and written by a village native, Liam Downey.